Commander Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the HMS Salvager, surrounded by an array of mismatched screens and jerry-rigged control panels. The ship hadn't started as a deliberate experiment in alternative engineering, it had been born of necessity and humanity's stubborn refusal to give up on space exploration after the global economic collapse of 2187. Status report on the fusion core, she called out, watching as her chief engineer, Dr. Marcus Wong, crawled out from behind what appeared to be a modified industrial refrigerator. The good news is our containment field is holding at 98% efficiency, Marcus replied, wiping grease from his hands. The bad news is we're still using a repurposed ice cream maker as a coolant pump. But hey, at least we're getting vanilla-scented plasma emissions. The Salvager represented humanity's first deep space vessel constructed entirely from recycled technology. Its hull comprised decommissioned cargo containers, its navigation system ran on rebuilt smartphone processors, and its life support was powered by an array of modified agricultural hydroponics systems. Lieutenant Jessica Patel, their navigation specialist, called from her station, a cockpit seat salvaged from a vintage Tesla. "Commander, we're picking up some unusual readings from the Kuiper belt. Looks like there might be something worth investigating." Sarah smiled, remembering how traditional space agencies had laughed at their project. They'd called it impossible, dangerous, and a violation of every safety protocol in existence. But desperation had bred innovation, and innovation had led to discovery. The Salvager's unique construction allowed it to interact with spacetime in ways that conventional ships couldn't explain. "Plot a course, Lieutenant. Let's see what's out there," Sarah ordered, settling into her command chair, a modified barber's seat that somehow provided the perfect zero-gravity pivot. As they approached the anomaly, the ship's cobbled-together sensors began picking up more detailed readings. The engineering deck hummed with the sound of countless salvaged machines working in unlikely harmony, washing machine parts processing data, old gaming consoles managing power distribution, and a particularly creative use of a popcorn maker that regulated quantum field fluctuations. "You know what the funniest part is?" Marcus said, monitoring their systems through what appeared to be a modified smart fridge display. "Everything that makes this ship wrong by conventional standards is exactly what makes it work. The asymmetrical hull configuration. Turns out it creates micro wormholes that actually improve our fuel efficiency. Those old satellite dishes we used for heat shielding. They're accidentally generating a quantum resonance field." Sarah nodded, remembering the days when they'd first started building the Salvager. Every expert had warned them that their design violated fundamental principles of aerospace engineering. But they'd discovered something remarkable: space didn't care about human conventions. The universe responded to innovation, creativity, and the sheer audacity to try something new. "Coming up on the anomaly now," Jessica announced, her fingers dancing across a control panel made from repurposed tablet screens. Wait, that can't be right. The energy signature looks almost like." Before she could finish, the space around them shifted. The Salvager's unorthodox sensors picked up something that no conventional ship would have detected, a ripple in spacetime that shouldn't have been visible to human technology. "Full stop," Sarah commanded, leaning forward in her chair. "Everyone, battle stations. Or whatever passes for battle stations on this wonderful mess of a ship." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, even as various jury-rigged components whirred and clicked around them. They'd learned to trust their unusual vessel, to understand that its quirks were features, not bugs. The Salvager might look like a floating junkyard to outsiders, but to its crew, it was proof that humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome. As they faced the unknown anomaly, Sarah felt a surge of pride. They weren't just exploring space, they were challenging the very notion of what was possible. The HMS Salvager might not be pretty, but it represented something far more important: humanity's indomitable spirit and endless creativity. Little did they know, they were about to make first contact with a civilization that would find their approach to spacecraft construction either revolutionary or horrifying, possibly both. The anomaly materialized into something none of the salvager's crew had expected, a gleaming starship that looked like it had been carved from a single crystal. The vessel's hull radiated perfection, every curve mathematically precise, every surface immaculate. "We're being hailed," Jessica announced, her fingers hovering over the communication system, a clever combination of old radio equipment and modified gaming headsets. The alien vessel's transmission came through with pristine clarity. A tall, ethereal being appeared on their cobbled-together viewscreen, its silvery skin reflecting light like polished chrome. "I am High Commander Vexthor of the Axiomite Confederation. Your vessel has entered regulated space and, by the eternal equations, what am I looking at?" Sarah straightened in her command chair. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the HMS Salvager, representing Earth's Deep Space Initiative. We come in peace." Vexthor's perfectly symmetrical features contorted in what appeared to be horror as his sensors analyzed their ship. "Your vessel violates 37 fundamental laws of engineering. Your power core appears to be, is that a modified food preparation unit?" "Actually, it's 3 food preparation units working in parallel," Marcus chimed in proudly. "The waffle maker handles quantum fluctuation, the microwave manages particle acceleration, and the toaster, well, the toaster just makes really good toast." The Axiomite commander's eye twitched. "This is impossible. Our scans indicate your ship should have collapsed into a singularity 17 different ways. Your hull integrity is being maintained by, are those industrial-strength rubber bands?" "Carbon nanofiber elastic reinforcement strips," Sarah corrected, fighting back a smile. "And they work surprisingly well in zero gravity." "This is an abomination against the sacred laws of physics," Vexthor declared. "For your own safety, and the safety of this sector, you will power down your various appliances, and prepare to be towed to the nearest safety inspection facility." Sarah's smile faded. "With all due respect, Commander, our ship may be unconventional, but it works. We've traveled further than any Earth vessel before us. Because you're riding a wave of quantum improbabilities," Vexthor exclaimed. "Your ship's design is so wrong it's actually warping reality around it. Those refrigerator components you're using for navigation, they're generating localized time distortions." "Really?" Marcus perked up, making notes. "That explains why the lunch I left in there last week hasn't gone bad yet." "This is not a joke," Vexthor insisted. "Your vessel must be decommissioned. The very fabric of spacetime is being affected by your flagrant disregard for proper engineering principles." Before Sarah could respond, the ship's cobbled-together sensor array, featuring several modified game controllers and a disco ball, began picking up multiple signatures. More Axiomite vessels were appearing, their perfect crystalline forms surrounding the salvager in a containment pattern. "Commander," Jessica whispered, "I don't think they're going to take no for an answer." Sarah's mind raced. The salvager might look like a floating junkyard, but every piece had been chosen and modified with purpose. They'd discovered that space responded to innovation in ways traditional engineering couldn't predict. "All hands," she announced, her voice firm. "Prepare for emergency maneuvers. Marcus, route power to the quantum displacement drive." "You mean the converted washing machine?" Marcus grinned, already moving to comply. "You cannot be serious," Vexthor's voice carried equal parts horror and fascination. "Your wash cycle-based propulsion system defies all known laws of physics." "That's kind of our specialty," Sarah replied. "Jessica, plot us a course through their formation. Let's show them what human ingenuity can really do." As the Axiomite ships moved to intercept, the salvager's systems hummed to life. The washing machine drive began its spin cycle, the modified refrigerator units pulsed with temporal energy, and somewhere in engineering, a toaster dinged. What followed would go down in history as either the most brilliant or most ridiculous space chase ever recorded, possibly both. The HMS Salvager was about to prove that sometimes, the best way to follow the rules of physics was to break them entirely. The HMS Salvager's unconventional nature proved to be its greatest asset as it faced off against the Axiomite fleet. Sarah watched as Marcus channeled power through their makeshift systems, causing the ship to move in ways that defied conventional physics. "They're deploying tractor beams," Jessica reported, her screens flickering with data. "But our hull's random geometry is making it impossible for them to get a lock. The rubber bands are actually dispersing their energy." The Salvager pirouetted through space, its washing machine drive creating localized quantum distortions. Each spin cycle generated a unique temporal bubble, making their trajectory impossible to predict. The pristine Axiomite ships, designed to operate with mathematical precision, struggled to adapt to the chaos. "This is your final warning," Vexthor's voice boomed across the communications channel. "Your ship is an affront to ordered space travel. Stand down or we will be forced to take more drastic measures." Sarah's response was to activate what they called the kitchen sink protocol, literally a modified sink that somehow generated gravitational waves. The resulting distortion sent 3 Axiomite vessels spinning in elegant confusion. "They're charging weapons," Marcus called out, monitoring their jury-rigged sensors. "Looks like some kind of quantum phase disruptors. Very fancy, very precise, and completely useless against our chaos field." He was right. The perfectly calibrated energy beams from the Axiomite ships scattered harmlessly across the Salvager's asymmetrical hull, their organized patterns disrupted by the ship's inherent randomness. "Chief," Sarah called to Marcus, "time to show them our special trick. Power up the Discord drive." The Discord drive was perhaps their most brilliant accident, a combination of mismatched components that created controlled chaos in spacetime. As Marcus initiated the sequence, the ship's recycled parts began working in beautiful discord. The refrigerator units pulsed with temporal energy, the modified gaming consoles calculated impossible trajectories, and the toaster, well, the toaster made toast. "They're surrounding us," Jessica warned, but her voice held more excitement than fear. 5 ships to port, 3 to starboard, and, did that crystalline ship just try to scan us with something called perfect harmony rays? The Axiomite fleet's frustration was palpable. Their perfectly engineered vessels, the pride of their civilization, were being outmaneuvered by what appeared to be a flying recycling bin. Each attempt to capture or disable the Salvager only revealed new and impossible capabilities of the human vessel. "Fascinating," Marcus muttered, studying their sensor readings. "Their attacks are actually improving our efficiency. The quantum harmonics of their weapons are resonating with our waffle maker's containment field. We're generating more power than ever." Sarah couldn't help but smile as she watched the Axiomite fleet's coordinated maneuvers dissolve into chaos. Their ship wasn't just surviving, it was thriving on the very energy being used against it. The Salvager's hodgepodge of recycled technology was proving that sometimes the best solution wasn't the most elegant one. "Commander," Jessica called out, "I'm detecting some kind of quantum buildup in their fleet. I think they're preparing for something big." "Good," Sarah replied, her fingers dancing across her salvaged control panel. "Because so are we." "Marcus, initiate the probability cascade." The probability cascade was their most unpredictable weapon, a combination of their various jury-rigged systems working in chaotic harmony. As the sequence began, reality itself seemed to hiccup around the Salvager. The ship's impossible design began generating quantum possibilities faster than the Axiomites could calculate them. The chase was about to enter its most dramatic phase, as the HMS Salvager prepared to demonstrate that in space, sometimes the best defense was pure, unadulterated impossibility. The probability cascade transformed the space around the Salvager into a quantum light show. The ship's mismatched components worked together in impossible harmony, each jury-rigged system contributing to their survival in ways that made the Axiomites' perfect calculations meaningless. "Status report," Sarah commanded as reality flickered around them. "The good news is we're generating enough quantum interference to confuse their targeting systems," Marcus replied, fingers flying across his modified arcade cabinet controls. The bad news is our toaster is now somehow generating temporal echoes. Today's toast was apparently made yesterday. The Axiomite fleet's coordinated attack faltered as their sensors struggled to process what they were seeing. The salvager wasn't just avoiding their weapons, it was actively incorporating the energy into its systems, using their precise attacks to fuel its chaos-driven engines. "Commander," Jessica called out, "their flagship is charging something massive. Energy readings are off the charts." Through the view screen, they watched as Vexthor's crystalline vessel began to glow with pure white energy. "Your mockery of physics ends now," his voice crackled through the comms. "Behold the power of perfect order." The blast that erupted from the Axiomite flagship was beautiful in its precision, a beam of pure mathematical certainty designed to impose order on chaos itself. It struck the salvager dead center, engulfing the ship in brilliant light. But instead of disintegrating, the salvager began to change. The blast of perfect order interacted with their chaos-driven systems in ways nobody could have predicted. The ship's recycled components, each operating slightly out of phase with reality, began absorbing and redirecting the energy. "Marcus," Sarah shouted over the humming of overloaded systems, "what's happening?" "Something impossible," he laughed, watching his readings. "Their perfect order is creating a feedback loop with our imperfect systems. We're not just breaking physics anymore, we're rewriting it." The salvager's hull began to glow with rainbow patterns as quantum possibilities multiplied exponentially. The rubber bands stretched and contracted in impossible ways, creating micro-wormholes that danced across space. The washing machine drive spun into dimensions that shouldn't exist, and the toaster was now somehow toasting bread from parallel universes. "They're scanning us," Jessica reported, her voice filled with wonder. "I think we just broke their sensors. Their perfect mathematical models can't process what we've become." Through the chaos, Vexthor's voice came through, tinged with disbelief. "Impossible, your ship, it's becoming a nexus of quantum probability. You're generating new laws of physics simply by existing." Sarah grinned as she realized what was happening. The salvager's greatest weakness, its cobbled-together nature, had become its ultimate strength. Each imperfect component added another layer of quantum uncertainty, creating a vessel that operated outside the bounds of conventional physics. "All hands," she announced, "prepare for something unprecedented. Marcus, route all power through the Discord drive. Jessica, plot us a course through probability itself. Let's show them what happens when human creativity meets quantum mechanics." The HMS Salvager was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe wasn't perfect order, it was humanity's ability to embrace chaos and make it work. The Salvager emerged from its quantum transformation as something unprecedented, a ship that existed in multiple states simultaneously, its recycled components now working in harmony with the fabric of spacetime itself. The Axiomite fleet hung back, their perfect vessels unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. "Final analysis," Sarah requested, surveying their altered ship. "We're stable, more or less," Marcus reported, his modified control panel showing readings that shouldn't be possible. "The quantum feedback loop has permanently altered our systems. We're not just bending physics anymore, we're suggesting new possibilities to it." Vexthor's image appeared on their screen, his perfect features showing signs of what could only be described as enlightenment. "In all our centuries of space travel, we sought perfection through precision. But you've shown us something extraordinary. Your chaos has revealed patterns we never imagined existed." The salvager's success had done more than prove humans could survive in space, it had demonstrated that imperfection could be a strength. Their recycled technology, operating just slightly out of phase with conventional physics, had opened up new possibilities for space travel. "Commander Chen," Vexthor addressed Sarah formally, "the Axiomite Confederation would like to propose an alliance. Your approach to space travel, while completely insane by our standards, has proven remarkably effective. Perhaps there is wisdom in imperfection that we have yet to understand." Sarah looked around at her crew, the brilliant misfits who had dared to build a ship from society's discards. We'd be honored, Commander Vexthor. Though I should warn you, our engineering meetings can get a bit chaotic. I wouldn't expect anything less, he replied, a smile finally breaking through his perfect facade. Over the following months, the Salvager's influence spread throughout the galaxy. The ship that shouldn't have worked became the prototype for a new era of space exploration. Axiomite engineers began incorporating controlled chaos into their designs, learning that sometimes the most elegant solution wasn't the most effective one. The HMS Salvager had done more than survive, it had revolutionized humanity's place in the cosmos. Its legacy would live on in every ship that dared to challenge conventional wisdom, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in achieving perfection, but in making imperfection work in spectacular ways. Ready to head home? Sarah asked her crew, watching as a nearby Axiomite ship attempted to install what appeared to be a modified coffee maker into its quantum drive. Almost, Marcus replied, grinning. Just waiting for the toast to finish. Apparently, we're now getting bread from 3 different dimensions simultaneously. As the Salvager prepared for its journey home, it carried with it not just its crew, but a fundamental truth about humanity's place in the universe. Sometimes the best way to advance wasn't to follow the rules, but to rewrite them entirely. The ship that shouldn't have worked had become more than just a success, it had become a symbol of humanity's unique approach to the impossible. In a universe governed by perfect laws, they had proven that sometimes the most powerful force wasn't order, but creativity itself.